The Thing That Learns Your Name, an original Wendigo horror story. Chapter 1, The Missing Man. Every winter, at least one hunter went missing in Blackwater Forest. Most were never found. A few were discovered months later, bones stripped clean as glass. People blamed the cold, or wolves, or the river. But the locals whispered a different name in low, fearful tones. The Wendigo. Jared didn't believe in any of that. He only believed in the fact that his father, an experienced hunter, had vanished 2 weeks ago, leaving behind a campsite that looked as if he'd simply stood up and walked into the trees. Jared had come to find him. Chapter 2, The Cabin at Coldwater Point. The forest felt wrong the moment Jared stepped into it. It was too quiet. No bird calls, no distant rustle of animals, just the steady crunch of snow under his boots, echoing in a way that made the trees feel closer than they were. By dusk, he reached the old ranger cabin his father used as a base. The door hung open. Inside, everything was untouched. Bed neatly made, gear packed, rifle propped by the door. But the frost on the walls wasn't normal. It formed long, jagged streaks, like fingers dragging down the wood. Jared lit the stove and sat at the table staring at his father's journal. The last entry was a single sentence. It keeps calling my name. It sounds like me. A distant scream cut through the forest. Low, human, then abruptly silent. Jared's blood turned to ice. Chapter 3, The Man on the Lake. The next morning, a storm rolled in. Thick snow that erased trails and blurred the world white. Jared followed the map his father had drawn, leading him to the frozen lake. As he approached the shore, he saw someone standing dead center on the ice. Tall, thin, facing away. "Dad!" Jared shouted. The figure didn't move. He stepped closer. "Dad, it's me!" The figure turned its head slowly, impossibly far, until it twisted nearly backward. It wasn't his father, not anymore. Its eyes were sunken black pits, its skin stretched tight across a skull-like face, and when its mouth opened, it was his father's voice. "Jared!" The ice beneath Jared groaned. Then the thing sprinted toward him, not running, gliding, as if pulled by the storm itself. Jared ran. The creature's limbs bent and cracked with every motion, making wet snapping sounds that weren't quite human. He threw himself behind a fallen pine as the thing reached the shore, sniffing the air. "I can smell your warmth." Jared held his breath until spots danced before his eyes. Finally, the creature drifted away into the trees. Chapter 4, The Voices in the Dark. Night fell fast. Snow hammered the cabin roof as Jared barricaded the door with furniture. He loaded his father's rifle with shaking hands. Around midnight, the whispering began, soft, like snow brushing against glass. "Jared, open the door. It's me. I'm hurt." It was his father's voice. Something thumped gently against the wall. Then again, louder. "Jared, let me in. Why won't you help me?" He clamped his hands over his ears, but the whispers were inside his skull. "You left me to freeze. Come outside and I'll show you." Something dragged claws across the window, slow, long, scraping the wood like it wanted to peel the cabin apart. The storm howled. The whispering stopped. Then came a sound far worse. Breathing right outside the door. Slow, deep breaths that matched his own breath, perfectly synced. "I know your name now," it whispered, "and your voice fits me well." Chapter 5: The Hunt. Jared jolted awake to silence. The storm had stopped. The world outside was still, dead and blinding white. He packed quietly. Staying meant dying. He followed a trail heading north, long prints that barely dented the snow. The Wendigo's path. Hours passed, the air grew colder, and with every step Jared's breath crystallized instantly. His eyelashes froze together, but he pressed on until he found a snow-sunken clearing. At the center lay a human body. Jared's stomach lurched. It was his father, or what was left of him. Frostbite had blackened his skin, his eyes were open, wide with terror that hadn't faded. And carved into the snow beside him, written with something dark, "Stop following it." Jared dropped to his knees, and that's when the forest went silent, utterly silent. Then, "Jared!" Not behind him, not ahead, above. Jared looked up. The Wendigo clung to the branches overhead, limbs splayed like a skeletal spider, head hanging upside down, his own face stretched across it like a borrowed mask. It grinned. His father's voice came from its mouth. "You came so far, just to feed me." Chapter 6: The Last Sound. The creature dropped. Jared fired the rifle. Once, twice, shots echoing across the frozen woods. Something massive slammed into him. Bones cracked. Snow swallowed his scream. His vision blurred. He saw the creature's face peeling and reshaping, forming his features, his eyes, his voice. A new name, a new warmth. The last thing Jared heard before the world went black was his own voice whispering back to him, "I'm so hungry." Chapter 7: The Aftermath. A search party found the cabin weeks later. Inside, only Jared's journal remained. The last page held a single line scrawled in a frozen hand. "It wears what it kills." At night, hikers swear they hear someone calling in the trees, a voice begging for help, a voice that sounds like Jared, or like them, or like anyone the thing has ever learned. And the wind answers back. Thank you for listening. I hope you liked the story. Please leave a like, subscribe, or comment down below and let me know your thoughts on tonight's story. And I hope you have a wonderful week.